rapidly and leap and buck. The Duchess, who was not new to such ventures, contented herself with forcing her steed to turn around so that she was always facing her enemy, who, from time to time, dealt her tremendous cuts and thrusts, which the Christian he stopped without trying to reply on his part. That game, extremely risky for the two women, lasted a few minutes, as the Duchess immediately threw herself impetuously against her adversary. The horses almost collided and a fierce fight ensued, in which the armor had to bear heavy blows, especially from Haraja, who, more ardent and nervous, dealt terrible blows to the right and left. Although not without mastery, since that all his attempts were aimed at sinking the Christian's cap. Muley, although he trusted the ability of his wife, was anxious and worried about the fight, and twice he could not help but exclaim, "Watch out, Leonore!" Suddenly the Duchess turned her croups quickly and began to run at full gallop, as if she intended to flee. The Muslim remained for a moment astonished, and instantly she launched herself after her enemy with her scimitar raised and shouting at the top of her voice with great satisfaction, "Hello! It seems that we scared them. Take a look at the famous Captain Storm." The Duchess's run lasted barely a minute. She skidded to a stop and stood before her adversary, hurtling at her, racing on her beautiful Arabian steed, mane flying, tail billowing. Haraja, seeing her waiting so steadfast, and trusting excessively in that sword, always in line and which the most terrible blows of his scimitar could not defeat, immediately forced his horse to swerve swiftly to ram his enemy from the side and try to knock her off her mount by shock. But she did not achieve her purpose, since the Christian waited for her in front and the combat was locked again with greater viciousness. "Death of Allah," cursed the Mohammedan after a couple of furious attempts to bring down her rival. "You are strong as a rock. But I will kill you." The Pasha's niece redoubled her shower of blows. The Duchess seemed only to defend herself against her. Suddenly her husband, who was following this new facet of combat with the utmost anxiety, observed that Leonore rose in her stirrups in order to parry a tremendous slash and then lean down, lower her head and extend her arm equipped with steel. There was a scream, or rather a howl of a wounded beast, and then Haraja fell heavily to the ground. The sword of the invincible Neapolitan had been stuck in her right armpit, a place where the armor is truncated to allow absolute freedom of movement of her arm. Muley gave a whoop of joy. "Finish off the tigress," she then yelled. The Duchess was preparing to jump ashore to finish off her enemy when 20 or 30 Turks, hidden up to that moment in the redoubt's moat, suddenly sprang up, shouting and firing some of her arquebuses. "Treason!" exclaimed the Lion of Damascus, standing in front of her woman to protect her. "Let's escape," the Duchess advised. It would have been foolhardy to engage those arquebus-wielding traitors. Consequently, both spouses, who had escaped unscathed by a true miracle of the first volley, fled at full gallop towards the bastion of Malamocco. Hurry up, Eleanor!" exclaimed her husband, who was going after her to cover her with her body. "Hurry up, don't get hit by a shot." Meshib took advantage of the escape to nimbly jump to the ground, grab Haraja, who was still unconscious, and put her inside the redoubt, giving up on transferring her to her camp when he heard that the culverins were beginning to shoot from the Venetian field. The Turks who came out of the redoubt, where they should have spent the night, also rushed into it. The Duchess and the Lion reached the drawbridge with the speed of lightning and saved it without stopping, while the company of Esclavones came out, opening a hellish shooting against the redoubt.